I, I I have appointments today.
Good morning.
Good morning. It is Tuesday, November 12th. It is Body and Soul Ministries, Julieta, Graciela. Woo!
Cacao.
Cacao. I've got my little
Oh, you got your witch's brew.
Yes,
Nice. I like it.
just because Halloween has passed, it doesn't mean I'm going to put away all my spooky things. I don't know if you can see behind me. I've got a couple of crows there, and I've got this little beauty that I found at Walmart, as my mother says. It's so pretty. Like, I don't want to put it away. Hopefully,
It
people
is.
think I'm too weird for having a skull,
Well, and talking about crows, I got educated this week on crows and ravens are not the same thing and like what the difference is. And I was like, oh, yes.
Yeah, well, crows are on Schitt's Creek and ravens are Edgar Allan Poe. Simple.
But also like crows are very tribal. Ravens are very solitaire, and you'll see them, I guess, in pairs, but not in like whole. All very interesting. And I will say, like on my journey, um, animal medicine has played a big role for quite some time, but it's like getting more and more and more in my face every day. So I'm appreciating them all, listening to them all, learning from them all. Um, the whole tribe of felines has been with me for quite some time, but also in that Halloween theme, spiders are very, very, very strongly in my face right now. And received the message this weekend that my web is a mess. It's time to clean up the web. And then someone suggested that I might even just want to weave a new web.
Wow. Go Charlotte. That's really cool. That's awesome.
Yeah. So what's on your mind these days, Graciela?
Well, you know me and all my woodland friends now. I'm like scaredy Snow White over here. I'm happy to report that the creepy bug activity is at a minimum. But it has been really interesting. We have just a few leaves left on the trees, and all the animals are scurrying about. I think that they are just getting ready for winter, because for some reason we are seeing a massive amount of squirrels. And then I think I mentioned in one of the other episodes, I'm now like this old lady birder person. So I can go sit outside for a little while. Although today it's cold, it's like in the low 40s. But I have this app called Merlin Bird ID. If you all don't have it, please get it. It is absolutely the delight of my life now. And so I sit outside while the birds are singing, and it tells me exactly which bird is making what song. And so I think the biggest, and it's cool because it'll record it and then you can play it back later, and then you can dive into each bird and find out about it and whatnot. But I think the most different types of species, is that the right word? Species of birds I've seen in one recording is 8. And that's, quite a bit, so I'm like, oh, so it helps me learn each of the different, sounds and songs and things like that. So yeah. And I'm excited to see what's going to happen in the winter. Do they all stay? Good morning, Lena.
Good morning,
so wonderful to have her joining us from Miami.
Yeah. Well, before we jump to a new topic, I do want to say what's been in my backyard since this weekend I saw them, and this morning we were out there drinking coffee. The hummingbirds are around, and I love hummingbirds because they are all about finding joy and being playful, and so
yeah,
look for the hummingbirds, people.
I'm looking for everything these days. I've been spending a lot of time outside. And I will tell you, I have been struggling a bit over the past week. I really gotta stop saying somebody write that down. I need something that flashes on the screen that says stop saying so a lot of my friends, I've been scrolling Facebook since the election, and I noticed that I think my friend list is probably 50-50, on different sides. And on top of all of this, we also had Hurricane Helene, which up here affected so many people. And I have friends in the Asheville area, and I have friends in South Florida, and their homes have been devastated and whatnot. And then, of course, all the general horrible shit happening in the world, right? Like all the wars and everything. And this whole week I've just been giving myself space to feel uncomfortable and sad. And it's kind of crazy because also yesterday this past weekend, I got into my new studio space. I've been unpacking. And that's been like super exciting and, stressful also because, this is life. So it's a lot. There's a lot going on. It's so funny because yesterday I was with my kids in the studio and I was like, man, I really feel like crying, but I think I'm still too numb from the last week and I haven't been able to cry. Apparently I just need to cry in front of everybody because that's a better idea. But anyway, so I've just been thinking about all of us holding space for each other. And I ran across this really cool word. And here I'm going to put my old lady glasses on because I want to read it to you. Because I think it's important that we feel our feels. I think it's important that you rest if you have to, and that's okay. There's a lot of what I call toxic positivity, like, don't worry, everything's going to be fine. Everything is great. We shall overcome and everything is, we're going to be great. And also, I think it's important to grieve where there is to grieve, right? Like when a family member or a friend passes away, yeah, we know life is going to go on because the sun does come up the next day, but I do get to feel like shit about it, So I've kind of been, in that space. I keep telling my friends, we're just going to keep calm and carry on, But let me read this to you real quick. So the word is sonder, S-O-N-D-E-R, and it says, the realization that each random passerby is living a life as vivid and as complex as your own, populated with their own ambitions, friends, routines, worries, and inherited craziness. An epic story that continues invisibly around you like an anthill sprawling deep underground, with elaborate passageways to thousands of other lives that you'll never know existed, in which you might only appear once as an extra, sipping coffee in the background, as a blur of traffic passing on the highway, as a lighted window at dusk. And when I read that, that's from John Koenig in the Dictionary of Obscure Sorrows. And by the way, what a great name for a book, the Dictionary of Obscure Sorrows. I love sad shit, and that is like, I'm going to have to get that book immediately. But what I wanted to share about that is just to have compassion for anyone and everyone around you. And I know that that's really hard when so many people feel afraid for their literal lives and what's going to happen going forward. But I do think I personally find more calm, more peace, more rest in trying to have, as much compassion as I can, and know that everybody comes with their own ways and their own lives and their own ways of being. And I know that sometimes those ways of being mess up everyone else's lives. But I just can't sit in feeling terrified, like I recognize when I have fear and I recognize it and I sit with it, and then I got to let it go, I don't know. What advice do you have? What do you think? You know, I've been knee deep in cacao forever, so that's my step.
So, and I don't know if you saw the day after the elections, I did write a post. 2 days after the election, I wrote another post. The third day I was going to write another post, and I'm like, I don't know if the world is ready for you yet, Julie. So let him have a break from you. But, you know, a lot of this for me is, it is about stepping into our power. You know, I said to you before we went live here that we have all co-created this together, and you know, some of this is what we went through when we went through the transformational training, and I know sometimes it's hard to acknowledge that I did play my part in this, whatever that is. And I can choose to play victim in this, or I can choose on recognizing what this is in me that has allowed this to happen outside of me, that I can shift this within me and create what I want. And so I think more than anything, this has empowered me to create the vision that I see as possible for this world. And, you know, am I going to say that, do I think that the results that we got are what's best for humanity? No. But also, do I think the other option that this country had would provide what was great for everyone? I don't think so either. I don't think that we had a good choice anywhere. And so my motivation right now is to create a society that can give us candidates that we're not going to be looking at voting for the lesser of two evils, or, you know, we're going to have choice, like we're going to be choosing the best of the best instead of the best of the worst. And like, this should be motivation for everybody to wake up, because like either side that you were on, you've been sleeping, that we've allowed this to be what is the options for us. And yes, feel your feels. If you need to lay down and rest for a little while, but I need you to step back up and take your power back. I need every person in this country to take their power back, and let's create what's right in this world, because this is not right. You know, like little signs of hope that I see here, like if Kennedy can come in and clean up the FDA and big pharma and all of that garbage, I will be extremely grateful for that. Because let me tell you, the poisons that are in our food, them poisoning us with the medicines that they're poisoning us with, that's creating some of this dumbness that's not allowing people to step into their power. So even if we get that pulled out of the system so everybody's brain can get cleared up and people can think straight and operate from their heart instead of from stupidity, you know, like let's look at what potentially is positive to come out of this. And
I think, you know, I think just for my own human survival, I don't have a choice but to look at positivity, right? Like I don't have a choice but to figure out, okay, you know, the leaders that support how I think the world should be, you know, let me give them my positive, you know, support, right? And not like, I don't want to sit in the misery of any of it, you know. And this is why, like, we just had our vision board workshop or our master class, and what I loved about it is that, like, we talked about all the different steps that it takes, because it does take all of those steps. But at the end of the day, for me, that I'm not a political figure, I'm not a, Congress, like, in other words, it's not my physical job, right? I can't affect change in that way because I'm not a lawmaker. I'm a photographer. I think the strongest thing I can be is just, like, come with compassion, come with love, be a safe space for those people who need it, which is a politically neutral thing. Like, being a safe space and taking care of myself has nothing to do with politics, and regardless of how I voted, I hope that I can continue to be a place where anyone can come and feel healing and feel good and things like that. But I know that a lot of this is very painful for a lot of people, and it's so insulting. I always say this, like, when someone passes away, time is going to pass by anyway. Like, don't you just feel like there are some things that happen in life that you're like, the world really needs to stop spinning for just like one day and just let me catch up? And it doesn't. The sun just keeps coming up again every day. Even if your parents die, even if a country gets destroyed, even if the Holocaust happens, like, it every day it keeps on coming. So where's my place in that? I love talking about trauma. I think it's so, this morning, my boyfriend, who is undoubtedly the happiest human being I have ever met in my life, had something happen. And I was like, oh, are you experiencing trauma? I'm like, let me hug you. And he's like, what are you talking about? I'm like, it is traumatic. Like, it's all trauma, but here's another little something that I read recently that I love. I love Gabor Mate. And he says, all of Western medicine is built on getting rid of pain, which is not the same as healing. Healing is actually the capacity to hold pain. And I love the hope that's in that message, because I don't know that we can get rid of the pain, you know what I mean, in life, right? But if I can hold the pain and let it just pass by me, or through me, I should say, then I think I can find that, more happy days than not, right? I saw one that said, don't let the pain live inside of you. Let it out in a creative way. Draw something, sing something, paint something, build something. Just get it physically out of your system. We talk a lot about how, trauma is stored in the body, right? Keep it moving, keep it getting out, I mean, I'm sure you see that in your work.
Yeah. And, what is coming as you're speaking is the results that we see out there are a result of fear. Like, this election was based purely in fear. And you can see where people's biggest fears are right now. This is root chakra stuff: safety, security, survival. The higher level stuff that the other people were fearing, that fear wasn't the strongest fear. The strongest fear right now is root chakra stuff. Like, people need to get grounded. They need to step into, I'm going to be able to put food in my belly. I'm going to be able to have a roof over my head. That's where people's fear is at right now. And until people feel safe in that, in survival, we can't move up to those higher levels on, because the people that are sad right now are people that are operating at a different level of fear. It's not that pure survival.
Yeah. No, it's tough. It's tough. I mean, just looking at, the question for today kind of popped up share a favorite guided meditation or visualization practice. And I think that might be one good takeaway from today. Well, not one good, it's our 20th good takeaway, but because I do think, keep calm is good. I do think sit in your power and realize, as you say, we are sovereign beings and we do get to decide what our lives look like, despite all the opposition to maybe even your very existence. That's a very scary and a very real thing. And also, you can evolve from that too, and I do think that taking all of these steps. So share a favorite guided meditation or visualization practice. What are your thoughts? I have one of my favorites. What is yours?
So, well, and I think, I do a lot of chakra work, and one of my big learnings over the past year or so is, like, I've always, people are always like, oh, you're so grounded. You're so grounded. I always feel grounded, but I've had this realization that I can be more grounded. Like, there is no such thing as too grounded. And for me to be able, I love the upper chakras. I live in the spiritual realm all the time. And one of the things that is somewhat unique is that for someone who is very much in the spiritual realm, I am grounded. But receiving this message as I'm, working on these things, that the more grounded I can get, the higher I can evolve. And it's kind of like thinking of a tree. And this can be your visualization. Like, imagine those roots growing deeper and deeper and deeper into the earth. And that allows the tree to grow higher and higher and higher. And so, I think it is really important for all of us right now to, a tree that has good roots can survive any storm. Trees that don't have good roots are, when the storm comes, are going to crumble. And so right now, if you're feeling like you're going to crumble, sink your roots in, grow them deep. And whether you visualize that as a tree or you visualize your root chakra, grounding deeper into the earth, either of those things can be super beneficial for everyone right now.
Yeah, I love that. I love a good visual because it helps me just connect those dots. So much of feelings is so abstract. Having that, I love that so much. It reminds me of back in the day when Bowtie Kids, we had the program about the gardens and whatnot, and we would teach the kids about the coconut tree. And I love the anyone that's listening knows I love the coconut tree metaphors. And we have coconut trees in South Florida, and there's Joy Crawford sinking my roots in. Yeah, girl, I hear you, all the way in. And you know what, see, now you're gonna make me do a little side note here. I have some pictures of Joy Crawford with her arms extended up into the sky. So you already have some of those really great visuals, Joy. But the coconut tree is one that can withstand a hurricane. And the way that it withstands a hurricane is that it's very flexible and it moves, but it doesn't fall. The little fronds might fall off, and another thing that happens that I think is so incredible is that when a hurricane is coming, the coconut tree will actually drop its coconuts, like, on purpose. And sometimes you really got to let go of something that you think is really, really precious for survival, so it drops its coconuts. I'm sure you've seen it over the years. The hurricane comes, blows off all the hair, I call it, and it's kind of sitting there bald, but man, it's still there, and it might bend a little bit this way and it might be a little bit twisted that way, but it's still there, and it will regenerate, and it does come back, and eventually the coconuts come back, and all the pretty hair comes back, and we get that idyllic South Florida beaches, right? But sometimes you got to go through that bald ugly phase for a little bit. So yeah, I'm kind of feeling that. My favorite type of visualization practices are the kind where you go underground. Like we have a cacao meditation that we use a lot, and it talks a lot about finding a portal and going down into the ground and then going through tunnels and things like that. And I find that when I do those meditations that take me on a little journey, I love to see what I find when I get there, because by the time I'm done listening to all that, I'm completely out of my brain, out of my head, and I'm into the experience. And I really, really love those. The cacao ones, greeting the cacao tree, seeing what message she has for you. It's always something that I need, so I love that one too. Yes. I think, do we have that on the website? What meditations don't we have? Don't we have some?
Well, they're not on the website. They're on our YouTube channel. Right now, there's a bunch of chakra balancing workshops for different things, and but there's more to come. There's more to come.
Well, I'm very excited about the evolution and moving forward and all of the things that are going to develop. Today, I'm going to go back to my studio, which is an absolute mess of boxes and furniture. And, this space is much smaller than my old space. So I'm having to trim back a lot of things, which is a big lesson for me. So I am knee deep in the learning phase of life again. But I'm excited. I'm excited for the future and for all the things. And shortly I will be offering all the same body and soul type events up here. So basically we're getting a satellite office. We'll have chakra balancing class here and sound baths and the forest therapy and all the things. I'm really excited to get all those things going all on the same property. I think I mentioned it before. It's on 4 acres and it's right here in town. It is an absolute destination. So I'm really excited about developing that and, creating those safe spaces. I love that.
Yay.
Yay.
Any final thoughts before we go today?
Just to take care of yourselves. Actually, I'm gonna read one more thing for today. I'm feeling very ready today. I don't know, but it's a Marianne Williamson quote, and it says, "We're living in 2 worlds simultaneously, one the fall of Rome and the other a new renaissance. We need to be both death doulas and birth doulas, helping die peacefully the systems that need to die and helping give birth to a wholly different kind of world." And I'm gonna read that one more time just so you all can sit with it, because it can mean whatever you want it to mean. But I really think it's about love versus fear. We're living in 2 worlds simultaneously, one the fall of Rome and the other a new renaissance. We need to be both death doulas and birth doulas, helping die peacefully the systems that need to die and helping give birth to a wholly different kind of world. I hope that helps.
Me too. Ooh. All right. And, if anybody out there needs support, reach out. We're here. We feel you. We love you. And it is going to be okay. It is.
Thank you guys so much for listening. Check out all the old and other episodes. They each have their own little nugget of wisdom, I hope. And don't forget, all our retreats are all online and available. Check in. I think now's a good time to reserve a spot in the woods to relax a bit. So take care of yourselves.
All right. Have a magical day, everyone.